We are here today with Eliza Morris, VP Consulting at Octagon, and we're going to discuss one of the many important things when you approach your work life and your internship, which is attitude. I'm going to let Eliza take over. She's going to discuss attitude from being an intern, going into the workforce, and then starting your career, and what attitude means.
Thank you. So I think having the right attitude in your job is really critical. Now, having kind of gone up the ranks and being a more senior person, I can kind of look back and see what my attitude was like when I first started out as a more junior person, and how it's grown over the years. So I just think this is a really critical thing, especially when you're first starting out. It really affects how people in your new job, certainly your boss, your colleagues, your peers, view you, and ultimately your abilities. Is how you present yourself, how you treat other people, and what your attitude is, and how you present. So I think it's really, really critical. Something I often think back to that I didn't do well when I started was having a really positive attitude, especially in the face of challenges, setbacks, things like constructive criticism. Having a positive attitude is really important. Learning to sort of roll with the punches and maintain a positive attitude. And also, in a work situation, it's really important to have the attitude of, how can I do more? How can I go beyond what's being asked of me? How can I be really eager and positive, have a good attitude in the office? All of that affects how your boss and your peers view you, and the kind of work that they want you to do, and how they perceive your work. So it's really important.
Yeah, so in your approach with an attitude, and you mentioned your boss, how could you adjust your attitude differently than maybe your normal routine to your boss, and with your attitude with your boss?
Yeah, so I like to remind myself, especially with the boss, that it's important to remember that they often have challenges, responsibilities, things on their plate that you don't know about. So I recall a couple of examples when I was first starting out, and a boss would say something to me, or give me some criticism about something that I hadn't done right, or I hadn't done on time, and I would just say, "Oh, you don't know how busy I am," or "You don't know how hard this is," or "What are you doing?" And now looking back, I think, gosh, they had a million things on their mind.
Right.
They didn't need to handhold for me. I need to go figure it out by myself, and I need to have a positive, really eager attitude. So I just think about that a lot. It's really important to put yourself in somebody else's shoes and try and understand they've got a lot of challenges. How can I try and help make their life and their job even easier?
Sure, and then last question, with your attitude, you might have things going on in your personal life. How do you adjust your attitude in a positive manner so that it doesn't take the negative stuff going on in your life into your professional life?
That one's a hard one, actually, because everybody has their own personal lives, and you have a bad day, or you have a crisis in your life, and it's hard not to bring that to your job, for sure. I think it's another good example, not to repeat myself, but to sort of say everybody has challenges in their personal lives, and as much as you can to try and check that at the door and say, I need to focus on my work right now, and really try and compartmentalize almost. Leave that as much as you can. Not totally being a robot. You want to bring some of your own personality and personal life into it, but as much as you can, set that aside and try and focus on the task at hand.
Sure. So I think that's just kind of a good overall view of attitude, and like what students can learn about, when they approach the workplace, whether it's their internship or job, what kind of attitude they can have going in. Also, you detailed dealing with your boss. Is there anything else you like to add just on attitude for the new professional?
I guess I would just say it's really, it affects almost as much as your work product. Your attitude and your approach to things affects how people view you.
Sure.
And really your potential for success. It's really critical. So think about how you're perceived and how you want people to perceive you,
right,
and adjust yourself to act accordingly.
Right. I think that's a good point, that your attitude kind of is the conduit between how you're perceived and your work. So it kind of shows that. So
There are lots of examples where somebody on my team is doing awesome work. They've shown me a PowerPoint, it's super smart, it looks great,
right.
but they've got a crappy attitude about it,
right.
or they sulk in the corner, or they don't participate in the conversation, things like that.
Sure.
And it makes me think they don't want to be a part of the team, they don't want to learn, they're not interested, they're not excited, and so it can definitely affect
How about
my
the
perception.
reverse? Do you ever see
Oh, lots
sometimes?
of that too. Yeah, people on the opposite side, people being super outgoing and trying to, be my friend and everybody's best friend and great, but the work product isn't there, and
Sure.
so it goes both ways.
Yeah, so it seems like that's a good place to end in terms of you need both, right? The work and the attitude
Yeah.
is the complete package, and understanding that your boss has these obstacles that they have to overcome, not just you. You're not on your own island, and making their job easier is a good thing to take away from this when we talk about attitude. So
Yeah, I
thank
agree.
you very much.
Thank you.